Hello everyone, thank you all for tuning in to the audio commentary for Late Nite Drives. My name is Gabriel Kainer. I'm the writer-director of Late Nite Drives, which I also starred in. This is in June 2018. It says August, but we filmed it in June. And I really had a fun time putting this set together because I just got really into the visual storytelling, like with the Starbucks cup and all the records on the desk and all the pictures. Fun fact, I'm sitting at that desk right now. But yeah, I just remember Jordan Rhodes, my director of photography. He's one of my best friends. He's a great guy. He's really talented at this kind of stuff. He's a great DP. I just remember him crouching behind the table, trying to get all these shots to work. But yeah, so I've been wanting to do an audio commentary for a long time, and I'm finally getting around to doing it. I thought about doing this with other people, but then I thought I wouldn't be able to get a word in if I had the rest of the cast here. There's the jacket. The story behind that jacket is that in high school, when we did the real Late Nite Drives, I would put on that jacket, and then that's when everyone would know that there was going to be a drive that night. So then the next 5 people who were like, "Hey Gabe, I want to go on the drive," got to go on the drive that night. And if you look closely on the box, it says Philip's stuff. And Philip is the name of my dad's character in this movie. But it is also the name of my great-grandfather, who I share a birthday with. And that's who I named the character after. This is a great focus pull right here by Jordan. Yeah, he shot this really well. And I think this stuff is shot with a different lens, but then I think the rest of the movie is shot with a 50mm lens. I'm really happy with this set of cuts up here. This was sort of inspired by Solo. I'm really happy with how that part turned out. Like, Han Solo starting up the Millennium Falcon. That's kind of where the idea came from, because that movie just came out. And then this is my dad's version of Take It Easy by the Eagles. This was amazing to witness in concert. That's a great shot that Jordan got. He was like, we were just driving around getting these shots, and he's like, "I got an idea." He was like, "Just drive," and then he showed it to me, and it was great. This is another great shot right here. This stuff was shot on a few different days with a few different camera operators. And there's Texan Drive Stadium, which is now Randall Reed Stadium. If you look closely, it changes during the movie. And then this is the lovely town of Porter, Texas, my hometown where I grew up. And this was the only place I ever wanted to film the movie. A lot of this stuff is different. For example, this hot biscuit right here is now a Denny's that I go to pretty frequently. I was really a fan of the hot biscuit. That Kroger is gone. You know it's Texas when there's a Whataburger. And then there's my high school. But yeah, this was, if I would have known Jordan was afraid of heights, I wouldn't have had him climb up the band tower to get this shot. So, sorry Jordan, love you bro. That Sonic is now gone. Yeah, so I sort of had this idea about the opening sequence being Andrew driving through several of the locations that appear, that are recurring throughout the movie, like the stadium and the gas station and the high school. And there's that Lynyrd Skynyrd shirt that Nathan had to wear forever and ever and ever, just like I had to wear this jacket. Some days the jacket would be great because it was cold outside, but others, like this day, it would be hot. So this is pretty much how I would pick up Nathan from his house anyway. He'd hop the fence, so really no different. We just filmed it. But this was originally envisioned as being a feature length, and I was going to make it my goal to film the feature length so well and make it look so professional that I would be able to get it distributed. But I quickly discovered that that was not going to work. So I decided to make it a short film, and it ended up being a 37-minute long short film. It's almost like a TV pilot episode. But yeah, so that's really how it started. It was going to be a feature length, and now it's a short film, and I'm planning on using this short film. In fact, I've been using this short film a lot to try to pitch the feature-length version. This is sort of like a prototype. If you look closely, you can see Peyton and Jessica in the mirror right there. Now this part coming up here, this was something that just accidentally happened when we were rehearsing it, and then I was like, hey guys, actually do that when we're rolling. Yeah, but this is Maggie. She's so great in this scene, and especially this next scene coming up. She's the only person who could pull off dialogue like this. This says September 2017, but this was actually shot in December of 2017. This is our Peter Pan set from when we were all in Peter Pan. I was John Darling, Peyton was Peter Pan, that's why she has the short hair. They're sitting in our nursery set. Maggie was Tiger Lily, Carson was Checo, the pirate. Those were our theater club shirts in high school. I really like that shirt. Yeah, so our theater teacher, Mr. Ogden, he let us film during class, backstage. He let us film 2 different scenes during class. And then we have, those are a bunch of friends of mine who are in the back. And then there's Jessica. I think all this stuff of me picking up everyone was shot on the same day. Those glasses in that last shot, you can see Carson holding the camera and the reflection in the glasses. So I tried to avoid it, but there was no avoiding it. This is my favorite scene that Jordan shot. I think it looks amazing. We shot this in February of 2019. I'm really proud of that jack-o'-lantern that I put in the back. So this day, I had gotten off work at the movie theater at around 5 o'clock. So as I was leaving, I took a bunch of popcorn home, so that way I could use it for the scene. And the idea here was that Night of the Living Dead is Andrew's favorite movie, mostly because that movie's in the public domain. But if you look closely in Andrew's room later on, you can see a VHS copy of Night of the Living Dead. Jessica's so great in this scene. I really love how this scene turned out. Yeah, but the idea for this being sort of a nonlinear story came out of having to tell multiple years worth of story, because it's over multiple years of high school, and I had to find a way to condense that into a short amount of time. So I thought I'll just make it nonlinear. As I pick each person up, it goes back to a memory with them, and then in that way it sort of tells a nonlinear story. All these scenes are in the feature-length version that I have written, but they're expanded upon and there's more context in between. Jordan also did a really great job lighting this scene. This scene just looks so good. It's the best scene. It's the best looking scene in the entire movie. I am filming this, or recording this audio commentary in March of 2020. Unfortunately, the coronavirus is in full swing, so I'm stuck in the house. So I figured this would be a good time for me to do this. I think what's great about the most rewarding thing for me was seeing everyone's reactions to this movie. Everyone was so overwhelmingly positive, and I can't remember a negative review. Everyone was just so great and supportive. And I like how she calls me Danny Zuko here. That was a line that I wrote in that I was really, really proud of. But Late Nite Drive sort of started out as something therapeutic and personal for me. And then having seen people reacting to it, I realized that it had become something for other people as well. And I think that's the most gratifying thing that I take away from this entire experience. Yeah, when I showed this to my family, some of them cried, and I was honestly really happy that they were crying because I was somehow able to evoke that emotion out of them. So hearing stuff like that from my family and even people who aren't related to me really makes me feel like we did a good job. And here he is. There's Carson. Carson's great. Yeah, Carson has this amazing quality where he can make you laugh and cry at the same time. And I know I say that all the time, but that's like a really unique quality There's some cool cameos in this scene. This was shot in November of 2017. This is the first scene that we shot. There's Keegan and there's Aaron. We kind of envisioned them as the two bullies from Sky High. Yeah, but this was the other scene that we were allowed to shoot during class, and I was trying to get this done right before lunch ended. We had about an hour and a half. The people walking by earlier were it was my choir teacher, Mrs. Woodard, who was Maria when I was Baby John in West Side Story. And then Mr. Woodard was also in West Side Story with me. He was a Jet. We had a lot of fun. So I asked them to have cameos in the movie. I don't know how Carson held that position the whole time. His calves must have been tired. But he was determined to hold it. Yeah, but this was the scene where I realized that the movie was going to work. It was the first scene we shot for the short film, and once I saw Carson's performance and how he was responding to the material and how well he was doing, I realized not only that he was going to be one of the best parts of the movie, that also this movie was going to work and that we were going to be able to pull it off. I remember skipping lunch that day and hiding in the theater room just so I could watch all the footage that we shot. Carson was like, "Can I go to lunch now?" So I was like, "Yeah, we're done. You can go to lunch." So I stayed behind and I watched all the footage, and it brought a tear to my eye, if I'm being honest. Then I took it home that night and I edited the first scene. It's pretty much exactly how it is now. And I cried, I got emotional. It's when I realized that this whole thing was working. And I think we managed to make every scene pretty much like that one. This gas station scene and this scene right here and the scene where I tell Philip goodbye were all filmed on the same day, the last day of shooting in November of 2019. I'm aware that Blinded by the Light and Yesterday were not released in November 2017, but I didn't care because I thought they were just great for the set. I was kicking myself later on because I found my Sing Street poster, and that's one of my favorite movies, and it would have been a perfect poster for this movie. Trick or Treat is a very underrated horror film starring Gene Simmons, very rock and roll centric. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's hard to find, but you can probably find it on DVD on Amazon. My dad did a really great job in this movie. I was expecting him to do fine, but honestly, he blew me away. I'll talk more about that in our last scene together. But that's what really made me realize that I was going to be able to do Past and Present, where he's pretty much the main character. And he's done even more amazing work in that. And here comes my favorite actress in the world. There's my dad when he was actually playing clubs when he was 18. And there she is, Payton Mixon. She's going to be such a bright star on Broadway. She's so amazing in every scene she's in, and she's my favorite person ever to act with. If you look at my tie, I'm wearing guitars on my tie. I thought that would be pretty fitting. I just took one of my dad's ties. I had really fun decorating this room. And yeah, once again, Rocket Man didn't come out yet, but I didn't care. Got the Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller, Cheap Trick Live at Budokan posters. There's so much stuff in this room if you look closely. You don't even get to see all of it, but that room looked amazing. I think this scene was shot in June of 2019, and Keegan is on camera. He did a really great job. I'll elaborate more on Keegan doing a really great job with the camera later on. That it's blurry, but in the back there's a Rockstar magazine cover that my grandma made my dad of him as Ace Frehley when he was a kid. Now this part right here, I was just sort of pacing before we shot the scene, and this wasn't scripted. I just kind of started saying it in my head as I was just pacing, trying to figure it out. And then I just decided to say it and put it in the conversation. So then So then Payton and Kegan had to watch me say it over and over and over because I really wanted to get it right, because it was something that I feel really strongly about and something that I think is true. Something else I also have to talk about, my dad's music is all over the movie. Most of it is covers of other songs, and they just sound amazing. It's stuff that he recorded when I was a little kid, and I just had them on CD, and I decided to take advantage of them. That shot we duplicated later on in the breakup scene, and I'll talk more about that later. But my dad has so much music, and I wish I could have used more of it. So what's in the movie is only part of the full library of music that he has, and it just sounds amazing. These were shot, those two shots right there were filmed a year apart. One was in one spot and the other was in my driveway. This shot was really fun to do because we had Aaron, who was one of the bullies. He was driving Carson's car, and Aaron didn't have a license. And my buddy John Clibby was on camera hanging out of the car filming this stuff because it was a convertible. So that was really fun. This was shot in January of 2019, and as I was setting up the scene, I realized we needed a way to cover up our last names on our lettermans, because those are our actual high school lettermans. So I just grabbed 2 backpacks, and I was like, all right, we'll use the backpacks and it'll be fine. We actually shot this scene twice, and I didn't like how it looked the first time, so we shot it again a little bit later, and it looked even worse the second time we shot it, so I just ended up using the first day of shooting because I thought the performances were so good, especially Carson. But if you look, I mean, Carson's shots look better than mine. He's in more focus than I am. But, you know, I think that's part of the charm of this movie. I knew that it wasn't going to be technically perfect. That's impossible at the level we were at, but I learned so much from this movie, and I've gotten so much more equipment for my next short film, Past and Present, which is about 90% done. So that's why I knew it wasn't going to be technically perfect, so that's why I just wanted to make sure that it had a really strong story with strong performances. Here's the stadium again. We're listening to my great-grandma's cassette player. This is my favorite scene in the movie. This was in October of 2019. And the great thing about Nathan is that, other than my dad, Nathan's been making movies with me longer than anyone, since I was 12 years old. And Nathan and I have such a great shorthand. He knows exactly what I'm going to say before I even say it. So it's always really easy to work with Nathan. And the funny part is, he doesn't even consider himself an actor. I consider him an actor, but he was never in theater with the rest of us. Everyone else in this movie, we all acted on stage together and everything. But Nathan is just a natural. I do wish Nathan did a better job than I did at this, but I wish that we actually treated those cups more like there was actually liquid in them. But actually, I showed up to film this scene, and I didn't think there was going to be a game going on. Then I showed up and there was a bunch of cars, and I'm like, what's going on? And then I found out that there was a game. And I was like, well, great, we can't shoot this scene today. But then I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to film this scene today. We're going to shoot it. So we filmed it with the game going on, and it actually worked better because, you know, all the lights were on, all the stadium lighting. If those hadn't been on, we wouldn't have had nearly enough light. If you do look closely in the game, or later on, we were still filming when the game ended, so they turned the lights off. So if you look closely, the lighting does change. But I just adore this scene. This is such a great scene. And we have Joanna on camera. She did a really great job. It was basically whoever was around was on camera, really. But I think everyone did a really good job. As far as the look of this movie, right here, I gotta say, that reaction right there, this shot, that was when I told Nathan that I was actually leaving home to go to Colorado so that I could be closer to LA and pursue my career. So that was me actually telling Nathan that I was leaving. because I wanted to get that genuine reaction out of him. So in real life, I was telling him I was leaving, and my character was also telling him I was leaving in that one shot. So that's a directing technique that I'm really proud of having utilized. Yeah, but anyway, so as far as the look of this movie, I was trying to emulate the look and feel of Friday Night Lights combined with the rock and roll sensibility of That 70s Show. And I think that's a really, really unique combination, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I remember picking all the quotes we were going to say, and it was just so much fun. Some of them Nathan would have said anyway, and that's why I put them in the script, like, we're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl year after year. That was one of Nathan's favorite quotes when I asked him that once. And then I said my favorite quote, which is, we may lose and we may win, but we'll never be here again. There are times when this movie's kind of hard for me to watch because it's so personal to me. And I thought, no one's going to care about watching it. No one outside of myself is even going to care about this story. But that's why I was so relieved when other people were responding to it. Because it's about things that people can just relate to on an everyday human level, like leaving home to go do bigger and better things, or, you know, having your first love, or, you know, having family issues and stuff like that. So I feel like I was able to capture a lot of different feelings and emotions into one. This monologue I have, we only did one take because I just couldn't bear to do it again. It was too tough for me to do again, just on a personal and emotional level. So we just did it once. We might have done it twice, but I'm pretty sure we used the first take. Yeah, we had this sort of guerrilla style sort of filmmaking where we would just show up and we would film in public places, even though we didn't have a permit and we weren't technically allowed to. So we just kind of had to hope that no one was going to kick us off. I was nearly positive that a cop was going to show up and kick us off of this parking lot, especially since cars were zooming by the whole time and everyone was screaming in the stadium. But we got lucky. Although there is one scene, and I will point it out when we get to it, where let's just say we had an encounter with a police officer. So we'll get there. And this is one of my favorite lines in the movie. On these roads, there's nothing that can't be solved with some music, friends, and a late night drive. And that's really the essence of the movie right there. And I think that's the main message. So many people can relate to just driving around with their friends, listening to music. And this is a movie you can't really make anywhere. It's such a Texas movie. Speaking of which, there was our nod to Friday Night Lights, Texas Forever. But you can make this movie in a lot of places in the United States, but there's some places where you just wouldn't be able to, it just wouldn't have the same small town feel. People don't necessarily drive around for fun in New York City or in LA. But in a small town, in a small Texas town, you know, that's what people do for fun. This was shot in Conroe, right in front of the Owen Theater. That's where I did West Side Story. And this day it was really hot outside. And one of my favorite memories of filming is I had Keegan on camera, and I told him, all right, Keegan, you're going to stand on this puddle. This puddle is your marker. And he was like, okay. So about a minute later, I asked Keegan, I was like, all right, Keegan, you still on your mark? And he was like, Gabe, I think my mark evaporated, because he was standing on a puddle. So I just remember laughing, and I thought that was so funny, and I'll never forget that. This was in August of 2019 when we shot this. This was a lot of fun having everyone together. I think this was the last day that this whole group was together, really. We have this scene and then the scene later on where we're saying our goodbyes to each other. That was the last scene we all shot together. And this whole group hasn't been reunited as a whole since then, I don't think. I've seen everyone, individually, in bits and pieces, and I've talked to them, but yeah, we were all together on this day, which was a lot of fun. When I say that this, first I'll talk about this scene. This scene was in July of 2019, another very, very hot day outside. But Payton's so good in this scene. Later on when we're standing up, it looks like we're very close to the power lines, like our heads are about to touch them, but I can assure you we were not that close. But yeah, when I said that this movie kind of became something for other people as well, I think that goes for the rest of the cast too, because I feel like this movie is sort of a scrapbook. It's like a journal of this period of 2 years of our lives. We started in November of 2017 and we finished in November of 2019. So much happened to all of us in that amount of time. And it's sort of like a yearbook, for us, for sort of that end of high school. And for me, it was also sort of the beginning of college as well. But I hope that years from now, the rest of the cast can look back on this as fondly as I do, and just remember those times, remember that period of our lives. And I think that's part of what makes this another reason this is so special. I think it already resonates with them now, but I can't imagine what it'll be like watching this 20 years from now. So only time will tell. We'll just have to see. But all I know is here and now I'm proud of the work we did on it. This shot coming up right here with the hands, like I mentioned earlier, right there, we duplicated that shot for this scene. That was also the same shot in the bedroom, except I purposely switched what sides we were on. And then I really like that transition, that cut right there, because we just happened to have a moment where a car zoomed by and made a really loud noise, so I kind of combined that with the start of the song, my dad's version of Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You by Led Zeppelin. And then coming up here is where I really want to talk about KEGAN on camera. He did a great job shooting this stuff. This is some various rooftops in Conroe and that parking garage. This is what I would like the poster of the movie to be. Maybe if we could get rid of that McDonald's. If you look closely, you can see Payton on her phone laying down in the truck because I was trying to hide her. Probably shouldn't have pointed that out because now people are going to notice. But anyway, this shot coming right now, I'm thinking, man, I really wish we could pull focus on the flags that are behind me in the same shot. So I was about to tell KEGAN to do it, and we were going to start the shot over, but he did it the first take, so I didn't even have to tell him to do it. So I was very, very proud of KEGAN in that moment. And here's my dad playing guitar. I just told him to play something, and he just played something. We had a really fun time decorating this room as well. This is my favorite sort of corner to decorate. I try to film a lot of stuff in this spot because it's so easy to rearrange. We got the Michael J. Fox poster. We got the John Lennon. We've got the picture of my dad and I with Kiss at the Toyota Center. We have the Who poster. But my dad, his acting in this scene, I was not expecting to actually get emotional filming this scene, but I did. Because if you look coming up, there's just tears in my dad's eyes, and I wasn't expecting that. And this is the last scene that we shot on Late Nite Drives, and I remember after I thought we gotten all the coverage, I went into the other room, took a deep breath, and I rewatched all the footage to make sure we got everything we needed. And I saw the last takes that we did, and I realized that the movie was done. But look, you can see the tears in his eyes. And it's I'll never forget that feeling of looking at that footage and walking out and saying that's a wrap on Late Nite Drives. And as much as I wanted to get the movie done after 2 years of filming it, and believe me, I did, and everyone else did, part of me was kind of sad that we were done. But I was so happy to release it into the rest of the world. I think this is the part that makes my family cry the most, actually. But yeah, my dad was so great in this. And bringing back the "you're way cooler," you're almost as cool as me. That was something that I mentioned that we had in the garage scene, and then there was the payoff right there. Now this is actually the last scene we shot all together. This might have actually been me telling Jessica and Maggie goodbye, because I don't think I saw them after this. Yeah, it's so surreal. The idea here of them fading away sort of came from The Sandlot. You know how at the end when he's reminiscing about his friends and they fade away, that's sort of where that idea came from. That is my Queen shirt. Carson still has it. He has not given it back. It's okay, buddy. You did a good job. You can have it. Although, he was wearing a Black Panther shirt earlier in the movie, and that was supposed to be the same day as this, but he lost the shirt, so I gave him my Queen shirt. I'm just pointing out everything wrong with the movie, but that's okay. Now, this is the scene where we had a police officer come up, and she was like, "Hey, you guys can't be here. You gotta leave." Then I was like, "Okay, well, thank you for letting us know. It's too bad that this is a project for my college class, and it's due tomorrow." And then she was like, "Okay, I'll give you guys 30 minutes. So I sort of, guilt tripped her into letting us. So we rushed and we shot this in 30 minutes. And Payton delivered another great performance. This is such a bittersweet scene. And the reason her character's name is Rose is because of every rose has its thorn. That was the idea behind that. A lot of the names are combinations of other famous names. Like earlier, Jessica mentioned Ashton Ferris. That's after Ashton Kutcher from That 70s Show and Ferris Bueller. I could go through everyone, but that would take forever. So just look at the credits, look at the names, and make it a game for yourself to try and figure out who's named after who. But this is another one of my favorite lines coming up. It's an important 4 years, the roads twist and turn, but in the end, if you take the right path, you'll end up where you need to be. That's something else that I think is very, very true. And then that's my dad's version of D playing there. Now I'm getting really sad because this audio commentary is almost done. Something I've realized with audio commentaries, it's like if you really cared about a movie so much, you're not going to be able to say everything you want to say in the amount of time your movie's runtime. So hopefully there will be more information for me to discuss later on down the road. That football was in the scene earlier where we were talking song quotes. I put it there on purpose. I do regret having to toss the football, putting that in the scene, because not only do you get to see me toss a football and it's awful, but also we had to keep the continuity going, and I think we did an okay job with that. But the idea was for him to catch the keys instead of the football, and that was an idea that I really liked. This is one of those days where I was glad I had the jacket because it was December of 2018. It was pretty cold outside. Nathan and Aaron were freezing. But yeah, we were sort of shooting for this scene at sunset, so we could get shots like this one coming up. I really wanted the sunset to be present, so I think we were able to pull it off. I think we got it. And that's another line that I love, and it's the last line of the movie, except for, this part. But, that's really the last line of the movie. As long as you're still here, you're taking the wheel. And then here we go with Baba O'Reilly by The Who. There was never any other song that I wanted to use for the end. This stuff I shot later on in November, like a week before the movie came out. But but Baba O'Reilly is the only song we were ever going to use. That's 1069, The Eagle. There's the Freddie Mercury mustache. Nathan put that on there years ago, and I left it in the truck. But yeah, this morning I'll never forget. I got Nathan and Aaron up at 6 a.m. and we went out at sunrise and we filmed this scene in about maybe an hour. And this is my favorite scene to shoot right here. We listened to Baba O'Reilly on repeat the entire time. We were almost sick of the song by the end of it. If you look closely, Nathan's drumming along with the beat of it, which wasn't intentional, but I found that in the editing and I kind of put it together that way. I'm obsessed with that water tower. It appears a few times in the movie. And here's our little Breakfast Club moment right here. But there are some shots in this where I'm not driving and it's actually Aaron driving. I think also without a license still. He has his license now. But like that's me filming in the bed of the truck. So Aaron's actually driving right there. So yeah, that's something that happened. I'm so grateful to everyone who helped me make this movie. Every single person involved, everyone who was on the actual late night drives, everyone who just inspired this. I'm forever grateful that we were able to do this and that it worked out. And I see all of these names and it just brings back so many wonderful memories. These are all people I love and adore. They're my friends, they're my family. And it's pretty great when you get to make a movie with people who really mean that much to you. So I'm trying to think of what else I could possibly say, because I know there's things I'm forgetting. There's things I said I was going to say that I'm trying to remember what they were, but I think you guys get the gist of what this movie means to me and what I was going for. So, this movie makes me very happy. And I try not to watch it too often, but every once in a while I will, and it just gives me a great feeling. So I'll leave you with these quotes: "We may lose and we may win, but we will never be here again. And long live rock and roll." Thank you so much for watching.